The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
The year is 2021, and the world finds itself under the direct control of an unquantifiable, unidentifiable, stealthy satanic conspiracy, whose goal is nothing short of snatching the souls of everyone. Get your copy of Terry L. Cook's riveting new sci-fi novel, The Duke of Hell, the World's Final Dictator, and get lost in a tale of planned calamities engineered by a secretive cabal intent on preparing the world for the arrival of its demonic alien master. While the hellish chaos begins to extend globally, only a very few are aware that Earth has entered its final hour. The Duke of Hell, the World's Final Dictator, grabs hold of your conscience and doesn't let up until the very last page has been read. And even then, it leaves you wanting more. The Duke of Hell, the World's Final Dictator is available now in either paperback or Kindle formats from dukeofhell.com. Buy it now at dukeofhell.com. That's dukeofhell.com. Get your copy today at dukeofhell.com.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition way. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, and over 25 podcast platforms. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. He's back by popular demand. The author of The Duke of Hell, Terry Cook, returns to the Mike Wagner Show, and this time he's going to be talking about what's coming up in a couple of months, and also what is coming up in terms of deception, also coming up with the final generation, preparing for change, and a lot more. He's got the latest news, and especially about what's going to happen, upcoming elections. Of course, this is going to be a special edition, talk about 911 for just a bit. And yes, it is 2020, and the world is on the brink of complete destruction as never before. Global political chaos is in the air everywhere. Food shortages, famine are the beginning. International wars, rumors of more wars are on the news daily. Pestilence, pandemic, disease are occurring worldwide. And with all the international economies nearing collapse, it seems as if mankind has finally brought about its own doom. Yet, is mankind alone solely responsible for this predicament, or is there some type of unseen spiritual force behind it all? Indeed, it is a secret, virtually unknown cadre of international leaders preparing the world for the coming of their dark lord inside a UFO. Is there truly an unseen international conspiracy to bring an end times apocalypse in the making? And if such circumstances have predicted for thousands of years by prophecies, and lastly, could be in the final generation that's actually nearing such an earth-shaking, catastrophic conclusion? Or will Earth be saved by a friendly UFO invasion of a benevolent state creatures from a different dimension? And if so, will they actually help us or hurt us? And you can read about it in this amazing book, The Duke of Hell, which is the world's final dictator. Get your copy at thedukeofhell.com. And speaking of the Duke of Hell, live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plus Studio somewhere in the U.S., the author of Duke of Hell, and talking about what's coming up in 2020, especially in the key couple of months. Ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite guests, author Terry Cook. Terry, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us once again.
Mike, thanks for the fabulous introduction, and it's an honor and a pleasure to be back on your program once again. Indeed, you you covered everything quite well. The world's a mess. The United States is a mess, and it's about to get much, much messier. So I always I have people tell me, Terry, how come you don't do something more positive? And I said, give it to me, and I'll do it.
throw some pizza in there and make it more positive. We talked about in the past few episodes. That's the only positive I could think of it. Yes.
I do remember our chat about your pizza addiction, and I'm still trying to find that organization near you. I haven't found it yet. It's called Pizzaholic Anonymous. You know where there's a Pizzaholic Anonymous anywhere near you that I could recommend you to. We'll both keep our eyes peeled.
Yes.
Or we'll both keep our eyes pizzaed.
or just create one. They say it's like you build it, they will come. And hopefully it doesn't affect the pandemic. So,
well, if I eat too much of that stuff, I tend to get a crusty outlook on life,
Oh, pretty saucy. And of course, we're going to be making jokes about it. Yeah, pretty cheesy. I know that. So,
yeah, well, don't let it bother your pepperoni too much, all right?
That's right. That's right. We speak Italian like the sausage, And yes, of course, we got the events coming up as well, too. But first, we're getting close to the presidential elections, and very close. We're doing a special, on 9/11, and maybe just, quickly, really talk about that, and then get to elections, and then I guess we'll be talking about the deceptions and a lot more. So the man of knowledge, Terry, go ahead and present it. We're all ears today for you, bud.
I appreciate the acknowledgement. I am quite studied on these things because I've been doing so for 27 years. And if you haven't learned something after 27 years, well, you just might as well go out and sit on the dock of the bay and do some fishing or something, or maybe the shark will jump up and eat you, and you'll be the bait. I don't know, but I'm still somewhat knowledgeable at my ripe young age of 73 years old. My mind is 29. My body is past the 2,000 million mile mark on its odometer. So my body's about ready for the junkyard, but the mind's still relatively intact.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like the 2,000-year-old man with Mel Brooks. That's what it sounds like. So
yeah, there you go. Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, I wish I had better news, but let me tell you, it's frightening. And the only thing I can say at this point is you need to maybe stop eating so much pizza. And
well, is that the pizza guy calling? Tell him to hold the order.
That was him right then. How did you know?
because I heard the famous tone. Pizza's here. Pizza's here. Did you forget something? Forget the chicken wings or fried cheese balls, mozzarella sticks?
I tell you, I hope we actually have some to purchase in the next few months. I think there's going to be a severe food shortage. So the first thing out of the chute here is, ladies and gentlemen, America has been put to sleep. We've had it so good for so long, and we've been brainwashed by the socialist media to where our brains can't even function properly. Most of us can't even think straight. And we're completely sleeping now due to 40 years of misinformation, disinformation, political misprogramming, and lies and more lies. And it's just such a sorry state. I can see this because I've been around for a while. You know, at 18 years old, I went to Vietnam. And at 21, after Vietnam, I became a L.A. policeman. So I've been around for a while. And at age 73, I've seen our nation go from bad to worse. I mean, Vietnam was bad enough, which was the beginning of the hippies and the socialism in America, and basically the takeover of America by the socialists and the communists. Mm-hmm. Now it's done. So I was 20 back then, and now 50 years later, it's done. And I can attest to the fact that I've watched it happen slowly but surely over the last 50 years. Mm-hmm. So if people want to argue with me, well, okay, go ahead. Put your head back in the sand and like an ostrich. And but I want to liken such an event, an ostrich sticking his head in the dirt, as follows. You know, if an ostrich is near a railroad track and hears the whistle blowing on the train, and he gets scared and he jumps between the track and then, digs a hole between the ties and buries his head. Well, he may have his head buried so that he can't really see or hear much of that train that's coming straight at his butt, that's sticking straight up in the air. So when an ostrich buries its head between railroad tracks, what eventually is going to happen? Well, he's going to feel real good and fuzzy for a while because he doesn't see it coming. But the train, nevertheless, is going to run over his butt, mm-hmm. and the feathers will fly. Well, it's a terrible analogy, but that's where America is today. Mm-hmm. And our younger generation is completely misinformed, brainwashed, misled, and essentially useless when the coming communist invasion of America takes place. You can tell somebody that's going to take place, and they'll look at you as if you're crazy. Mm-hmm. And they won't even ask why. They'll just accuse you of being crazy, a nut, and they'll write you off as a nut job, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you think about with the whole communist, socialist, methods as well too in other countries. It's like I ask this question all the time: which communist, socialist country has actually succeeded in their model? It's like, can you really name one that really succeeded? It seems like nobody can.
Well, they've succeeded in the wrong way. Their definition of success is to destroy everything.
Right. I remember that. And I remember about Cuba as well too, that before Fidel Castro took over in 1962, that Cuba was basically just a luxurious country. It's like the best rum, the best cigars, the best of everything. Beautiful women, handsome men, muscular, and great music and all that. And then Fidel Castro took over, and everything just completely went down the hill. Party's over, and you look at these pictures, it's like Cuba's still stuck in 1962. Everybody thinks that communism seems to be a successful model, but you look at it, it's like they're still stuck in a time warp.
Well, why do we think that communism is somewhat of a successful model? We do, Michael, because we've been brainwashed into believing the lies.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You see, it never has been successful. Since 1917 and the Bolshevik Revolution in October of 1917 with Lenin in command, heavily financed by the Rothschild banking dynasty, the Illuminati, communism has successfully, I'm talking, they've been successful at destroying and killing everybody they've touched. Mm-hmm. That's their definition of success. Since 1917, it's kind of difficult to do an accurate body count on 175 million dead bodies.
Mm-hmm.
How do you count those when they line a whole bunch of thousands of people up against the wall, shoot them, and then take a tractor, push them into a hole, bury them? How do you count them accurately? Well, you don't.
Right.
But roughly 175 million people have died for the utopian promise of the workers' paradise. And it's the same old lie over and over again. And the average person doesn't even know the difference between Marxism, socialism, communism, progressivism, Nazism. You see, because the last 3 generations haven't been educated properly because our colleges and schools have been taken over by the Marxists, the same Marxists in civilian clothes who want to destroy us. You see? Mm-hmm. Now, it's a mental illness. It's a mental illness. Socialism, communism, Marxism, it's a mental illness. Okay? Liberals are really mentally ill. And in fact, Dr. Michael Savage, a conservative in San Francisco, wrote a book on that 15 years ago, I think. And the title of his book was Liberalism, i.e. socialism, i.e. communism. Liberalism, they're all the same. His book title was Liberalism is a Mental Disorder.
Mm-hmm.
Because it really is. It's mental sickness. I mean, why would you want to hope and change the best nation that's ever been devised, constructed with the assistance of God and the highest standard of living, and everybody in the middle class, which is pretty much everybody,
mm-hmm.
and even the poor people in America are rich compared to third world nations. So why would you want to destroy a nation like that if you weren't mentally ill?
Uh-huh.
So that's who communists are.
Mm-hmm. And of course, too, that coming up in October, you also had mentioned as well, too, a complete economic stock market collapse, which could happen as well, too. And of course, next month as well, too, that North Korea may attack as well, too, invade South Korea. And not only a stock market could go down, you have World War III. And of course, you also got the vaccine supposedly to, cure this, the coronavirus.
Yeah, and the vaccine's a total lie. It won't cure anything. In fact, I just read a notice yesterday that it'll be available as of November 1. Now, look, how do you take a disease and prepare a vaccine, fully test it so it's reasonably safe, and then make 300 million copies of it, 300 million shots? How do you do that in 6 months? Well, you can't. So this is why Trump signed executive orders. Now, look, I voted for Trump. I'm a conservative, but somebody has bought him off because he signed an executive order expediting the creation of said vaccines, and he called it Operation Warp Speed. Then he just 2 or 3 weeks ago, he chewed out the FDA for not approving of it fast enough. And he actually accused them of conspiring not to get it approved and tested fast enough. So I just read a notice yesterday that it will be available November 1.
Oh,
November 1.
Wow.
Okay, now.
Go ahead. It's to keep pushing it, back and back, it seems like. And if it doesn't happen, it could go into 2021.
It's poison.
Mm-hmm.
You do not want it, and they're going to force you to take it under the threat of incarceration. Now, incarceration is a nice word for throwing your butt in jail.
Uh-huh.
So, when in American history have you ever heard of anybody being forced at gunpoint to take a vaccine, and without a vaccine passport from Mr. Bill Gates, who's not even an MD, just a rich guy who's a Satanist? When have you ever heard of Americans being forced to take a vaccine against their will and against their religious beliefs? That's what's coming January 1 under Agenda 21.
Mm-hmm.
It's poison, and it's meant to kill us. And the globalists, Mr. Bill Gates, believes in eugenics. Eugenics means the planned decimation of a targeted population. In other words, Mr. Gates belongs to several groups, which would take too long to explain, but primarily the Committee of 300. And the Committee of 300 wants to eliminate 80% of the world's population. They want to kill 80% of the people to save the earth. Now, look, you don't save the earth by killing 80% of the people. You don't do that. But that sort of mental sickness is communism.
Mm-hmm.
These people are all communists, you see?
Mm-hmm.
And so to them, justifying the death of anyone they think they need to kill is okay.
Uh-huh.
And that's what the vaccine will execute for them. It's basically how they can terminate us without a bullet, and they'll do it with a magic bullet, a vaccine. And most of us will, like sheep, at a cattle herding, we'll march up and say, "Oh yeah, sure, yeah, I'll take the vaccine. Put one in my arm and one in my butt. How many more would you like to put in me?" You see?
Oh, my goodness. And of course, that's happening as well, too. And we'll talk a little more about that. But first, listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look on professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition way. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention The Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on themikewagnershow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, and over 25 podcast platforms. Take The Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to The Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow The Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with author Terry Cook of The Duke of Hell here on The Mike Wagner Show, just coming back to talk more about what's happening in the world, what's to come, and everything like that. And first of all, before we get into elections and continue talking about the vaccines and everything, what's the latest on The Duke of Hell, and how's it coming so far?
Selling pretty good. And I'd encourage people to go to my website, www.dukeofhell.com. That's one word. www.dukeofhell.com. Watch the 13-minute book trailer. It's a long one, but it'll really educate you folks. You'll get the result of roughly 28 years of research into the New World Order and how it's going to come about, and how the biblical Antichrist may actually arrive on Earth in a UFO. And it's just very informative. So watch the 13-minute video book trailer at www.dukeofhell.com, dukeofhell.com. And you can buy the book, too, by simply going to that website and clicking on the red button, which will take you to Amazon, and Amazon will take your order right there. So it is selling pretty good, and it's not going to be a million seller because I don't have $1 million to advertise it.
Who does these days? Unless you ask Bill Gates to do so and say, hey, if you want to support the book, maybe you can take a vaccine. Maybe he'll change his mind. We'll see what happens.
Hey, I've already suggested that on several radio shows, that we ought to have Mr. Gates and his ugly wife step up to the parlor here, and take their vaccines first.
Mm-hmm.
With all those nanobots and baby parts. It's full of baby parts and radiator fluid and all kinds of other crap from hell.
Uh-huh.
And it's meant to damage and hurt us, and it will actually alter our DNA with nanoparticles and aborted baby parts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not joking.
Right.
So, in fact, the unofficial name of the vaccine in the laboratories is called Lucifer race.
Lucifer race. Uh-huh.
Yeah, Lucifer race. It's called Lucifer, R-A-Z-E, Lucifer race, which kind of sounds like Lucifer's race.
Huh.
You see?
That is interesting. And, of course, I'm sure people would come up with names like with Lucifer, and I remember, watching a movie, or somebody told me a movie a while back, and I can't think of the name of the movie, but I remember watching it as a very, very young student. Turned out to be a really stupid, bad move. And the character in the movie was Lucifer. That's Lucypher. And I put it together. I went, oh, crap. Lucifer. They're going to come up with all kinds of names like that.
Well, Lucifer isn't stupid.
Uh-huh.
Okay. There's not much in the Old Testament about Lucifer, just brief passages, but God created him as the most magnificent angel ever in the universe. Excuse me. And so beautiful and intelligent was he that he decided to take over the kingdom of God, you see. So he wanted to supplant God, who created him. He was a created being, beautiful angel, maximally intelligent, great musician. He used to lead the heavenly choir singing praises for God himself, who created him, see?
Mm-hmm.
But then again, the expression pride comes before the fall.
Uh-huh.
Everybody's heard that, but we really don't realize that actually came from the fall of Lucifer, when he became so prideful and arrogant against God that God threw him and 1/3 of all the angels in heaven that were foolish enough to follow him.
Uh-huh.
Throw him out of heaven, you see?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's where the root of communism came from. So I want to tell you that communism is really Satanism in disguise.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's so evil and deadly.
Mm-hmm.
You see, because Satan hates us and hates God and hates the earth.
Uh-huh.
And so he's been here for 6,000 years now, attempting to do everything he can to destroy people and earth. That's the bottom line. So now when the Antichrist actually comes down in a UFO, I believe, and I can document that, I sent you the link that we should go to in 15 minutes ago or so, 15 minutes or so.
Okay,
and we should.
And I've got that ready to go too, by the way. But go ahead. You're saying.
And so we are looking at quickly approaching the final 7 years of world history, and the Bible calls that the Great Tribulation period. Mm-hmm. And Jesus said it will be perilous times. He said it'll be so bad it never will have happened before, and it never will be repeated. It'll be so bad that the entire ocean will turn to blood. Every living creature, every living thing in the ocean will go belly up, and the entire ocean, everywhere, will be blood. Are you aware of that?
Mm-hmm. And I remember that, too. That's what happened during the days of Egypt, when the Pharaoh pretty much ran the whole show over there. He didn't repent, and then they said they're going to, put the curses on, the locusts and frogs and all the plagues and everything else. It's like it seems like from what you're saying that we're pretty much going through the same thing. It's like look at the events. I mean, don't they mirror it?
Well, not the same thing. The end of all same things. You see, because this isn't going to happen again. It won't be repeated. This is going to end the world as we know it, which will be consummated by the second coming of Christ. Jesus Christ will return during Armageddon, and that event consists of 200 million soldiers moving down from Russia and China into Israel for the final battle. Now, let me state that again. 200 million soldiers will march into Israel from the north. Israel is almost directly south of both China and Russia. So there's never been a time in history where we've had that many soldiers in any given army at any time. And so what we have to realize is we're at the preliminary edge of the beginning of the final 7-year tribulation period, which Satan's people, his communists, are calling the New World Order.
Uh-huh.
So you said 9/11. Now, 9/11 happened because it was a planned event. It really didn't happen the way we were all brainwashed to believe. It was a planned event, and the entire 2,000-page Homeland Security document to create an illegal, unconstitutional, Nazi-type police system like, Homeland Security, it was planned that way to begin bringing America into a dictatorship. Now we've arrived.
Mm-hmm.
So ever since 9/11, which was a planned event to make Americans think we had been attacked by Islamics and that sort of thing, and really, if you watch the buildings crumble, you'll see it was a planned demolition.
Uh-huh.
It was quite obvious it was a planned demolition.
Mm-hmm.
Unless buildings come down in a planned demolition, they rarely collapse on themselves and come straight down.
Uh-huh.
Usually they'll collapse to one side or the other, and these didn't do that. So they were very strategically planned and so on. Now, that's all been rehashed 1,240 gabillion times, and I just don't want to spend any more time on it. The average person doesn't believe it anyway, and it just is too complex for most people to understand. But the fact of the matter is, it did happen. 3,000 people died, and it was the New World Order communist swamp people. President Trump calls them the swamp, and they are. And you can see them and how they've been acting for the last 4 years that he's been in office.
Mm-hmm.
So now they want to completely take over. Now they are communists. They are radical, revolutionary, insane communists. And really, they are Satanists, devil worshippers in disguise.
Uh-huh. Right.
And that's who we're combating here. These people are demons.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like those movements everybody's been talking about. We don't need to mention. I'm sure everybody can figure out. It's like we're looking at the book as well, too, that you want to talk about the perestroika deception as well, too, that it seems to tie in everything along with the event we're going to talk about later. And I know you've been recommending the book, The Perestroika Deception, which is author of New Lies for Old, and maybe just tell us a bit about it and how this is all tying in together.
Well, I'm recommending, but actually not recommending. I'm just making a reference point of it mainly, Michael, because it's out of print now. It's very expensive to get used copies, and although you can still get a PDF of it free if you can find it, and I have one.
Uh-huh.
It's still very sophisticated communist intelligence data. I've read it about 40 or more times, and I'm an ex-communist, anti-communist intelligence analyst in the National Guard. So I understand it, and I'm born again, and I understand that who it is. Communism is really Satanism, and it's going to lead to the Antichrist taking power. You see, so the Perestroika Deception was written by a communist planner, defector to America. He was a planner at the highest levels of the KGB and the proletariat. I'm sorry, and the Politburo, the communist planning agency at the very top of the Communist Party, headed currently by Putin. Putin is the international head of all communist parties. He actually gives orders to Red China. He actually gave orders to Mr. Obama, who's a communist.
Mm-hmm.
And so he gives orders to the communist president of Venezuela, that piece of work.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to understand that every party, every communist party at every given nation on earth still reports to Mr. Putin, Vladimir Putin, the head of the International Communist Party.
That is interesting. And of course, you also got the event coming up as well, too. We'll talk more about that along with the presidential elections. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@SonicWebStudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, and over 25 podcast platforms. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with author Terry Cook of The Duke of Hell here on the Mike Wagner Show. Also wrote a few more books as well, too. And we also talked about what's been happening in America, the vaccines, what's coming up, and what to expect and everything else. And also the event you also talked about as well, too, under prepareforchange.net. And exactly what is the event?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. You see, in order to write my book as a Christian analyst, I did something very few people do. You know, most Christians are fabulous writers, or I should say most Christian authors are fabulous writers, and they do great research, and they primarily stick to the Bible. A few don't in a good way, and they investigate what the New World Order is and where it's going and so on. But I've taken a little bit different twist on it. I'm taking the approach that the Antichrist is going to be somebody we're not expecting. You see, we're in very evil times right now, and most Christians, who are, if they're truly born again in the Spirit, John 3:3, they feel something's very evil. They feel that in their gut that something isn't right. They feel a sense of foreboding, and frankly, we're all just scared. You know, I mean, it's that particular moment in time where most people just look around and they say, excuse my French, WTF, you know, really.
Right. Or what the freak we'll call that, or what the Franklin or something, honestly, or what the Frank.
Honestly, many people are saying that because they just don't have a clue. Mm-hmm. But yet it's also confusing and scary, and they don't know what to do about it. And there's really nothing they can do about it except make a decision for Jesus Christ and get saved. And that's about where we are. This is the event that's coming. The 7-year tribulation period is designed by God to separate the goats from the sheep and bring all people to him that have been appointed to come to him. And the rest of them he's going to terminate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you think, you know, a lot of people have been taught that God is all merciful no matter what. Well, he is, but only if you do it his way.
Right.
See, now, if we just do a little bit of Sunday school here, you go back, almost everybody's heard of Noah's Ark. Almost everybody's heard of Noah's Ark, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, the whole world was evil except for Noah and his family. So God, gave him a message from heaven that he should build the ark and gave him the engineering drawings to do so. And Noah spent, a couple 100 years, 300 years building an ark. Can you imagine that?
Oh, my gosh. It had to take a lot of labor as well, too. In his case, it was a labor of love. You know what that means, labor of love and labor for God.
We don't really know. I don't know if it was a labor of love or is just direction from God to do so, because he spent 200-300 years of his life doing so day and night, and his family, that's all they did, except probably eat and go potty.
Uh-huh.
So, but anyway, God looked down on the planet and he said, the only good people I see on this whole planet of all my creation is Noah and his family. So what happened? Everybody around him laughed. They probably called him a right-wing extremist. They probably called him a nut, a conspiracy freak, whatever. They badmouthed him. They cynically remarked about him, for a couple 100 years, a couple of generations, but they were evil. It was kind of like Sodom and Gomorrah. Everybody was killing everybody. It was crime was rampant, and it was just a terrible place to be. Earth was a terrible place to be back then. So God told Noah he's going to kill everybody but Noah. And that's what he did. So Noah climbed aboard, and they got the animals on board, and the Holy Spirit closed the ark door, and it immediately started raining, and everybody drowned. So look, Noah did it God's way, and he was saved, and his family reproduced and brought forth all the generations thereafter up to our generation. See, we're all descendants from Noah. Now, after Noah, people went bad again. It was only just a few hundred years later in the book of Genesis that people went bad again. And this time, it wasn't too far from Noah's Ark. It was Sodom and Gomorrah over by Israel. And this time, everybody went homosexual. Virtually the entire area was queer, which was the 1960s term that we Americans used for homosexuals, the queer and all this stuff. Now, they still have an organization in San Francisco called the Queer Nation, but that's their name that they gave their organization, but they get angry at us and they accuse us of hate crime for calling them the same name that they named themselves with, you see? So everything's insane, everything's upside down. Black people are being offended because somebody refers to them being black. But in the 60s, when I was 20 years old and the hippie movement and black power movement back then, they didn't want to be called black anymore. They want to be called Afro-Americans. And now they don't really want to be called Afro-Americans anymore. And I don't think they really know what they want to be called. And all I want to do is just call them all Americans, because I'm German and Irish and I could call myself a German-Irish American, but what good would that make? Anything? It doesn't. It just causes problems that we all segregate ourselves internally against one another.
It just makes you wonder too. It's just like, how do you identify yourself these days? That's the question. How do you identify yourself?
Well, the Communist Party really did this in order to get us fighting. And see, you win by win and conquer people by dividing them internally, see? This has been a communist ploy for 70 years to turn the races against one another in America so they can divide and conquer us. This is such a sophisticated plan, Michael, that it goes back 75 years and it's over several generations. The average person laughs when you tell them that. They can't get their arms around it. They have no idea what's going on, and yet the plan has been executed nearly perfectly, and it's all done, and now we're in the final revolution to take over America. That's what these BLM idiots are all about. That's what the Antifa is all. They're salaried anarchists. They're being paid by George Soros, the big old communist dude in France.
Right.
And he's funding every anti-American thing on the planet to destroy us.
And of course, that's all in the book of Duke of Hell as well, too. A good portion of it. We're here with author Terry Cook here on the Mike Wagner Show. You also have a few books as well, too, that you also got. You got Beast Tech, you got Big Brother NSA, you got Comrade Antichrist, and maybe tell us about a few of your books and what can we expect from you in this year, next year, and beyond in terms of books and whatever projects you have.
Well, I'm not writing anymore. I'm done. This is my last book, and I waited on this for 10 years. After my last book, Beast Tech, with Dr. Tom Horn, we co-authored it. The books that you've just noted are republished now. They were off the market, out of print for a while. I just republished them, and they are available at Amazon.com. So if you want to find some of my other books, just go to Amazon.com, click on the books department, put in my name, Terry L. Cook. Don't forget the L. There are a zillion Terry Cooks. So Terry L. Cook, and my books will pop up and you can get those. And again, you can go to my website, www.dukeofhell.com, dukeofhell.com, to watch my 13-minute leader video trailer and also get my book, The Duke of Hell, there. And I don't really have any more plans to do much of anything. I'm off the lecture circuit, and I am preparing my family to go through hell. Mm-hmm. And this is not a joke. Mm-hmm. This is deadly. I mean, deadly serious. Mm-hmm. Okay, and the Chinese are planning to invade America in the next few months, and they're already staging troops in Mexico and north of the Canadian border. Mm-hmm. And we have troops in civilian clothes going into Sacramento and various places nationwide, and they're quietly sending in truckloads of arms, AK-47s and everything. A whole shipment of AK-47s, I think about 17,000 AK-47s, was recently caught in Kentucky, in a 17-wheeler, 18-wheeler. So this is a serious deal, and most Americans are brain dead, asleep, and too busy watching video games, porn, and whatever else they're doing out there, playing golf and stuff, as America is being quietly invaded and it's being staged to be taken over in a Red Dawn.
Darn, you know what? I'm glad you said something about golf, because I just canceled my round of golf with some friends, and I'm glad you mentioned it, because I would have missed the news if I tried to play 18 holes. I'd probably be distracted after 9 holes. So.
Well, and so that's why I'm not really planning to do much of anything, Michael, because time is so short now. And this is serious stuff, honestly. We try to interject a little humor into it just to make it not so scary. Mm-hmm. But I'm not even doing that so much anymore, and I have a great sense of humor, as you well know. Mm-hmm. But I'm not because I am an ex-National Guard Army officer and a retired police lieutenant from Los Angeles and a Vietnam vet. So I know what's about to happen. It's going to be horrifying. It's going to be scary and very bloody. Mm-hmm. And all the leaders who have been teaching for years and have published books against the New World Order were on the so-called red list. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if somebody doesn't kick in my door in the next 6 months and kill me. So I'm not joking at all. Mm-hmm. Not joking.
And a process, we'll be praying for you and your family as well, too. And of course, speaking of current events as well, too, what do you see upcoming in the upcoming presidential election?
Total chaos, whether he wins or not. Okay, if he wins, there's going to be a revolution. If he doesn't, there's going to be a revolution. Do you get it?
Mm-hmm. Right. So no matter who is in office, you say it's a revolution.
No. I mean, if Trump wins, the communists don't want him there, so they're going to revolt and claim that it was, a bad electoral process, that it was illegal, that he was brought to power again. He was reelected unofficially, and they're going to file lawsuits and then get physical and so on. So that's if he's reelected, and it turns out that way.
Mm-hmm. No matter what, by mail-in ballot, going to the polls, both ways. Yes. So they have been.
If he's not reelected, it essentially means that they've taken over the voting system, regardless, and that the whole thing was a sham. And so there'll be a revolution by the people who want Trump to stay in, if he's elected out. So it's going to be very, very nasty. And at that same time, World War III is going to start. All you have to do is go to YouTube and put in World War III, and you can see more than you want to see. Mm-hmm. China is tossing a couple of missiles at our ships and our airplanes, and they're going to invade Taiwan here very shortly. Mm-hmm. And then the North Korean leader is going to start throwing some missiles over the ocean, perhaps at Japan or perhaps at us. And they're going to reinvade the South Korea. And those are communist nations, and they're being orchestrated to do so by Mr. Vladimir Putin. Mm-hmm. And during all that chaos, then there'll be a Red Dawn invasion of America with troops dropping from the sky and submarines popping up from around, our boundaries. And mm-hmm. one was just caught in Alaska last week.
Oh, wow.
And a nuclear powered submarine from Russia surfaced in the Bay Area, adjacent to the Alaskan coastline. Mm-hmm. And our Navy didn't even know he was there. And nor did the Coast Guard. You know who told them the submarine was there? A fishing boat.
A fishing boat, really?
Well, okay. Now, with all the advanced,
oh my gosh,
with all the advanced military technology, you would think that we would be able to detect Russian submarines in the ocean, right? Well, we would have been if George H.W. Bush in 1991 hadn't turned off the low-frequency under-ocean submarine detection system when he declared a new world order 200 times and lied and said we won the Cold War and the Berlin Wall came down and all that bullshit.
Right. And
excuse my French.
No,
French?
No. That's okay. It's okay. No matter what language. I mean, I basically just say that it's an open forum. As long as you don't abuse it, you're pretty good as well too. And one more question. This just popped in my head. You talk about the Book of Revelation, and of course, the 7-year tribulation, and of course, the seals are being opened. And what seal would you say is about to be opened?
Well, the first seal hasn't opened yet, but it's about to be. And Jesus himself from heaven does so. Now, I believe that the arrival of the Antichrist will signify that ceremony, you see. Now, what do we need for the Antichrist to arrive? We need total chaos. We need World War III. We need an economic collapse that's planned virtually simultaneously with World War III. These things are all planned by the Illuminati, the satanic hierarchy that runs the world out of Europe. The city of London is the headquarters for the Illuminati, the Rothschild international bankers, you see.
Right.
So I believe we're about to experience a planned, very strategically planned World War III event, and nearly simultaneously with that, a stock market crash. Now, another reason we may have a stock market crash is that the rumor has it that there are nuclear bombs being, suitcase bombs, small ones, being placed all over the United States. Now, my intelligence, this is not a joke, ladies and gentlemen. This is not a joke. Okay, so, if your mind has been turned into blubber by entertaining garbage on your cell phone or your computer, you better wake up. You're going to wake up one way or the other. But allegedly, there is a suitcase bomb that'll take out a half-mile radius already planted in New York, Manhattan, someplace. Now, if that happens in the next 2 months and takes out, Wall Street, that act alone would take out Wall Street and decimate and crash all the economies of the world. Now, if that happens simultaneously with the U.S. getting involved in World War III over in Taiwan and Korea, in the South Pacific, so you'd have a stock market crash, you'd have World War III, perhaps maybe a few missiles from submarines along our coastline that we don't even know are here. And United States would be absolutely brought to the ground screaming. And I believe those things could happen in the next 3 months.
And the first seal has not been opened yet.
No, because those things have to happen. Now, basically, the first seal will be broken by Christ when the Antichrist arrives on Earth. Now, you see, Netflix has a new series called Messiah. And if you go to Netflix and just search that term, Messiah, it turned out to be they introduced it a few months ago, and it turned out to be a total flop. It was going to be a multi-year series on the arrival of a Messiah who would save us from all the stuff that's happening right now, from all the evil. And they portrayed the Messiah, in other words, the Antichrist. They portrayed him as a average-looking Arab man, about 33 years old, and that he just suddenly showed up in the Middle East, and he went around healing people and so forth. And the Muslims were angry at him because he was talking to non-Muslims and so forth. And then he actually traveled to the United States, and he saved a few people over here from storms and bad things, and he performed a couple of satanic miracles to lead people to think that he was actually the second coming of Christ, and so on and so on. Now, that was a movie series, a TV series that Netflix wrote and sponsored and paid for, and it flopped. Nevertheless, the whole concept of the Antichrist now is on the table everywhere. Now, I believe that this website you have just pulled up, Michael, how much time do we have left? 5 minutes?
Yeah, about 5 minutes. And of course, we urge everybody to get a last piece of pizza. And in case the world does come to an end, just take one last bite of pizza. That's what we encourage everybody. So, including yours truly, just put on your favorite toppings. I've got mine planned.
So if we only have 5 minutes, let's rush to that website I asked you to pull up. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this is Satan's website. Now, he has millions of them. He has hundreds of thousands of them, okay? But in my educated opinion, this is one of the best that the devil has online. And why? It describes how we're going to be saved from World War III, how we're going to be saved from all the lying criminals in Washington, the politicians who have robbed our money, done us in, screwed us, lied, cheated, and steal and all that. Well, this website promises that the Messiah who's coming in a UFO, they call him Commander Ashtar of the Intergalactic Ashtar Command, they say he will fix all of that. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can go to this website, and it's called prepareforchange.net, prepareforchange.net, but don't believe a damn thing about it. It's all satanic BS. Okay, but what it does do is it conveys roughly how the Antichrist is planning to come in a UFO to deceive the world into believing that there are actually snake creatures out there, reptilian snake creatures out there from another galactic entity someplace, from another universe, who have been watching us for, the 6,000 years that we've been here since the Garden of Eden. They have our best interests in mind, and they're going to help save us from calamity, all of which is BS. So this website is very educational if you look at it from that intelligence data perspective. So if you go as an intelligence officer and you're going to investigate what the devil is up to and how he's going to arrive on Earth as the Antichrist, in other words, the Messiah, he calls that the event. So, Michael, click on that tab at the top left there. It says, right next to participate, it says the event.
Okay, I got on participate here. So I'm on prepareforchange.net. I'm on participate. It says create or join a local group, website.
No. Go to the one to the right, the event. Click on the event tab.
Event tab. Okay, so I think I see it here. So event.
Well, it's right next to participate. Right next to participate. Just click on the event.
Oh, the event. Okay. Yeah. See, I do need my coffee still, no matter what time. So, all right. So we got the event. It's a moment of the compression breakthrough on Earth. So we got that.
Yeah, but yeah, okay. But let me read it because this is serious.
Okay.
And if you just blow over it real fast, nobody's going to get this stuff because it's taken me 27 years to develop a good Christian investigatory analytical ability to see the devil's lies in between, the very nice promises. You see?
Yes.
So let me just read. How much time do we have left? A couple minutes?
We got about 5 minutes or so. So we'll let you go over. If you have nothing going on, we're good to go here.
Okay.
So yeah, if you have nothing going on, you can go ahead.
Okay. So essentially, this tab, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to look at it yourself, just go to Prepare for Change. One word. www.prepareforchange.net and look at it. Don't believe much of it, but it does because it's satanic and it's written by the Antichrist, the spirits of the Antichrist. But he does give us information on how he's planning to arrive, and I believe that's quite accurate, you see. So the arrival event where he arrives at a UFO and lands at the United Nations is called the event. And they describe it as follows, on the second paragraph of that event page, Michael, it says the date of this arrival, of this event, cannot be predicted. There are many groups involved worldwide, and many informations have to remain secret. In other words, they're going to tell us that he's about to come, but they say they're not going to give us all the details yet. It's going to remain secret until he arrives. You see? And all we can say is that we are getting very close to the arrival of the Antichrist. That's what they're really saying here. The event, the New Age event, the Age of Aquarius, the New Age event is actually the arrival of the false Messiah, the Antichrist, the devil in a man's body, whom Scripture calls the beast man of the apocalypse, you see? So it says, we're living now at the end of thousands of years of imprisonment and quarantine, and now it's about time we get saved by Commander Ashtar. So we have been controlled by the dark side. Now, he is the dark side, but he's saying we've been controlled by everybody working for him, Commander Ashtar. And he said the dark side is called the Cabal. And but now the event will release us from that bondage. The event will be a moment of breakthrough for the entire planet, which will be both physical and non-physical. On the non-physical plane, they say, there will be a big wave of energy from outer space that will envelop around the entire Earth and go into everybody's mind and prepare them for the event arrival, you see? In other words, brainwash people for the arrival of the Antichrist. And the energy from the central sun way out there in wherever land, will stimulate a huge flash, a special kind of light from that sun that permeates the earth and affects everybody, infects all of humanity, rising the frequencies of all living entities on earth. In other words, nothing will escape this mass energy moment where this beam of power or light or all of the above will emanate from somewhere from space and encompass the earth and penetrate everything in the earth, including all human beings, and they'll stop whatever they're doing, and they'll look to heaven with a calm, sweet, loving energy, and then the Antichrist will, Commander Ashtar, will convey to them that he's on his way. And then when he gets here, he's going to allegedly prove he's a good guy by doing all kinds of allegedly good things, like arresting bad people and resetting the economy into the mark of the beast system and releasing ET contact information, and so on and so on. We could spend quite a bit of time analyzing this, but since we're out of time, let people do it for themselves. And you have to get really serious about this stuff because COVID-19 that just locked us down, but it's going to come back and slap us down permanently, was the beginning of the lockdown for the global satanic communist new world order that will be led in the very near future, probably by Commander Ashtar when he lands his UFO at the United Nations. And that pretty much sums up in an hour where the world is right now. In other words, the whole world is going to hell, not in a handbasket. The whole world is going to hell. That's a famous expression, right? The world's going to hell in a handbasket.
I've heard that a number of times, yes. A number of times.
But actually, it's going to hell in a UFO. So you need to get ready, folks. This is, I'm not as jovial as I have been in previous shows because, listen, that time is over. We need to really get ready. So I suggest, ladies and gentlemen, you go down to Costco, you go to Walmart or whatever, you store at least a year's supply of supplies for your family because a planned food shortage is coming to starve us to death, to starve us into submission, to starve us into cooperating with the New World Order, to starve us into accepting the vaccines come January that will kill you. Okay? So the next 3 months are going to be horrifying. Till the end of the year, till January, they're going to be horrifying. But that's just the beginning of horrifying times. So if you want more, get my book at www.dukeofhell.com. I wish I had more pleasant information. If you want that kind of pleasant information, go to a children's game and play the game or watch some brain-dead CNN broadcast or whatever. But I'm telling you what's about to happen. You need to get ready. Excuse me. And you need to accept Christ as your Savior. That is the bottom line, because that's what Jesus is doing here. He's separating the people like he did in Noah's Ark and at Sodom and Gomorrah. He let Lot out of the town at Sodom and Gomorrah, and then he nuked everybody, fried them. Okay, so look, you got to do it God's way, or it's the highway to hell. He's a merciful Lord, and the only way to heaven, the only way to get saved, the only way to be cleansed of all of our sins, every person on earth, is to accept Jesus Christ, who died for us at the cross. And if you reject that, you're going to hell. If you want to be arrogant enough to actually reject that free offer from God because you think it's BS or whatever you say, then you're going to hell. You'll go to hell by default. So accept Christ as your Savior, store your supply of food, prepare to defend yourself, because when the communists come in on a Red Dawn event, they are merciless. Much like Portland, Oregon, much like Seattle, they are merciless. They just kick in doors, start shooting people, killing people, rape, ravish, stealing, burning down places. They are merciless. They're working for the devil. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. I thank you very much for the airtime, Michael. Appreciate having you invite me back on our program.
And it's our pleasure, too. And just don't give the bad guys pizza. That's all I can say. Save it for the good guys.
God bless you all. Take care, my friend, and we'll see you in heaven. I don't think we'll have another show the way things are going.
Well, you never know. Author Terry Cook of the Mike Wagner Show. A big thank you for your time. You've been fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Do us a favor. Keep us up to date. Love you to have back on. Sometime down the road, we'll definitely have you on. You've been absolutely fantastic.
Thank you, Mike. And if the world's still normal come next summer, let's do a show next summer. I kind of doubt it. I might not even be here.
The year is 2021, and the world finds itself under the direct control of an unquantifiable, unidentifiable, stealthy satanic conspiracy, whose goal is nothing short of snatching the souls of everyone. Get your copy of Terry L. Cook's riveting new sci-fi novel, The Duke of Hell, the World's Final Dictator, and get lost in a tale of planned calamities engineered by a secretive cabal intent on preparing the world for the arrival of its demonic alien master. While the hellish chaos begins to extend globally, only a very few are aware that Earth has entered its final hour. The Duke of Hell, the World's Final Dictator, grabs hold of your conscience and doesn't let up until the very last page has been read. And even then, it leaves you wanting more. The Duke of Hell, the World's Final Dictator is available now in either paperback or Kindle formats from dukeofhell.com. Buy it now at dukeofhell.com. That's dukeofhell.com. Get your copy today at dukeofhell.com.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, Custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.